Well, why don't we just do that? Hi, welcome to Mary Wieden You. Glad to have you along today. It's so funny. Here's a voice that's real familiar to everybody here on SuperTalk. Ken Hackman is here today. He's the Birdman, but he's so much more, too. He'll tell you who lives in your holes and your bricks in the wintertime and things in between. But first of all, I just want to do this one news item, and it's a shout-out to the Jackson Fire Department. Here is why. The residents who live in a place called Blossom Apartment, someplace in Jackson, have had their water turned off for a week or more, not because they didn't pay their rent or anything. No, they paid everything. They did everything they were supposed to do, but the guy who owns the building didn't pay this huge $4,000 or more water bill. So these people have been suffering. So JFD has been sending some folks down to supply them with non-drinking water for as long as it takes. Now, it's crazy. Jackson Water, wants to have their money, but here's what I say. Hey, Jackson Water, it's not these people's fault. Give them some water. They had to be able to drink, for heaven's sakes. And it's nice you can take a shower and stuff like this, but they deserve some water. And I know you're sort of needing some money too. Who doesn't? But for God's sakes, help these people out. There's going to be 30 or 40 of them, I think, who live there. That's just totally unacceptable. But the fire department has come to the rescue, and I think that's great. That's wonderful stuff. And that is my news for the day. Ken Hackman, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mary?
I'm pretty good. I have to tell you that you are wearing a shirt with a bird that's unrecognizable. Lance will be able to get a picture of it. The head looks like a bald eagle head, but a bald eagle doesn't have feathers sticking out the back, and he doesn't have any white beyond his head. So what is that?
This is a magnificent bird that I was very pleased. It was a target bird for me. I've been to Africa twice, and the first time I went, it was the number one bird that I wanted to see, and I did not get a chance to see it. So when I was afforded the second opportunity to go to Africa, I've never paid to go. It's great to go there for free.
Wow.
Been there. The second time I went, I told the guide, I've got to see a secretary bird. And that's what it is. It's a secretary bird.
Does it take notes, she asked?
No, they gave it the name because the quills sticking out of the back of the head were similar to the quills that secretaries would write with back in the 1700s and 1800s. Anybody that did secretarial type work back there, clerical work back then. And it got the name secretary bird, but it is a fascinating bird, and if you look, I don't know if Lance can get to the picture.
It's been up since you've been talking about it.
Well, that secretary bird has the longest legs in comparison to the bird than any bird that I know of, even longer than.
Can you hold up your hand because we,
this bird's 3 feet tall.
Oh.
This bird is massive, and those long legs are used to strike out at snakes, and the snakes make up the primary part of its diet.
Good.
And it is the biggest predator of Africa's most deadly snake, the black mamba.
Ooh, wonderful!
And
wonder if Terry
secretary
Vanderbilt is
birds.
listening to this.
I don't know if Terry's listening. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. In fact, Terry, I've always heard that the black mamba is Africa's most deadly snake. If it isn't, Terry can call in and let us know otherwise. But I'm pretty sure that the black mamba is Africa's most deadly snake.
I'm going to put him down on my futures list because, I'll think of the things that I need to be doing. And I haven't had Terry on in a while. We're getting into the time of the year when leaves are going to fall and all that kind of stuff. But it's always fun to talk about snakes with Terry. Terry Vanderveer, snakes. Write this down on my list. Okay, that's on my future list. I have to tell you that about my father, who was a birder. He was a backyard birder. He was a hunter. I mean, he went and shot pheasants and stuff like that, whatever. Upland game, as you call it. But he also was a backyard birder. And when they had moved to Florida in 1980, my mother made the backyard. It was like a park, really. She had little gardens all over the place, and they had a lot of hanging baskets and stuff and bird feeders. My dad wanted to feed the birds. He was very fond of cardinals and whatever wild birds, but he was not fond of squirrels. And so he would use his pellet gun to good use, and he'd kill squirrels. And he kept a log of just silly stuff, whether it was weather or stuff they did or whatever. Anyway, he kept this log. After he died in 1990. And came across that, and he called it backyard game management. Kept track. He killed 200 squirrels in 10 years. That's pretty good.
It's a lot of squirrels.
Yes, it is.
I think squirrels in the backyard can be handled a number of different ways.
Like
the pellet gun, of course, will do the job. A lot of folks may not know, having heard me filling in for Nellie, may not know that I am a hunter. I don't do a whole lot of bird hunting anymore. I used to many, many years ago, but I decided if, I do speaking engagements all over the state, and I decided that if people heard that the Birdman was out shooting birds, and it probably wouldn't be good for my reputation. So I went to the point of just hunting primarily mammals now, and that's what I do.
Deer? Are you a deer hunter?
I haven't been deer hunting in forever because I don't have anywhere to go deer hunting.
It's all over the place.
Public lands, I know, the public lands are available, but the deer in there are so skittish because that's where everybody without money goes.
Okay.
And certainly I can't afford being a teacher, and now a retired teacher. I retired in May.
That's weird.
Could never. I know. Nobody can believe that I have retired. I still have a tremendous passion for the wildlife and sharing that with other people, and I'll find a way to keep on teaching others about nature and wildlife.
I bet a lot of people would like to see some deer hunting along the Natchez Parkway because they're just standing around, just waiting to get plugged. And it's one thing during the daytime they'll be standing there. But at night, if you're going more than about 20 miles an hour, you're stupid because they're all over the place out there. But that's their property. How about alligators? You ever go after an alligator?
No. I catch them, and I used to relocate them when I was living on the coast. My dad and I were the first alligator relocators down on the Mississippi
Where'd
coast.
Where'd you take them to?
Back in the 70s. In the back bay, they would come all up into people's yards just like they do at the reservoir. So it was our job to go in and catch them. We used techniques were not as advanced as they are today, and rather
they use ropes.
We used a cast net. We're from Biloxi, so used that giant cast net. Of course, Biloxi's where I grew up after moving here from Germany. But
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja.
Sie? Ach so. Warum in Deutschland? Why were you there?
My dad was in the Army. I was going to answer you in German, but I realized our listeners won't know what's going on.
Yeah, there are a few who will. One time I was checking out some things, and we were talking about Angela Merkel, and the mispronunciation is not Angela Merkel.
No,
and
it's Angela.
Angela Merkel ist eine schlechte Frau.
Yeah.
And, our German,
das ist richtig.
Yeah,
das ist richtig.
Our German our caller, she said, yeah, that's right. But anyway. Oh, okay. So you grew up in Germany?
I was born there. My dad was in Münchweiler.
Ich war in Heidelberg.
Ah.
Mhm. Ja. 17
Ich geboren in Münchweiler, Deutschland.
Bitte?
Ich war in Münchweiler, Deutschland geboren.
Oh, okay. I was older than born. But anyway, I think though, here's really I've looked up my house over the years that we lived in. It was about a 10-minute walk from the castle. My parents felt that you can live with Americans all the rest of your life. We're going to live among the Germans. And my dad had learned the language. He just soaked it in.
Yes.
And he was translating one time between a northern German and a southern German because their accents were so different.
Right.
And the northern guy said to the southern guy, "Where is your friend from?" And the guy, my dad's friend, said, "He's not German. He's an American." Whoa, because he could do that. But I always check on the house. It was built in 1903. And they don't have Yazoo clay over there. So,
of course not.
But I looked it up last week and it wasn't there. And I'm thinking, oh no.
So sad.
Yeah, I think it's gone. But anyway.
I love the Heidelberg Castle, though. It is a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yes.
That cask of wine that the king had there.
It's a dance floor. Remember, it was a dance floor up top.
Yeah. But that cask is the largest cask of any cask, a barrel cask, any cask in the world. It's the largest beverage cask there is.
Yeah, yes. Well, I never saw. There's a tour of it, but I didn't take the tour because I thought I was a native.
I have. I've done it several times.
Well, I was considered myself a native, so I didn't. But you could walk out on the patio,
yes.
whatever you call it, and overlook the city.
Mm-hmm.
And the American school bus would drive by there every day. I would walk down to the bus, which was half a block, and take the bus.
Now, did you go to the American school or did you go to the German school?
Oh, the American school. But we took German as a class, and then my dad spoke German to me.
Yeah, my dad thought it would be. My German was better than my English when I moved here.
Oh, sure.
But my dad thought it was really important for me to go to the kindergarten. So I went to the kindergarten instead of the base school. Mm-hmm. So
wow,
it was interesting.
Oh,
a lot of fun.
That's the best time to learn a language too when you're little.
Yes, immersion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Do you have a chance to speak it ordinarily?
A little bit. I have to be honest. Inhibition.
But I also that's slang. Abyssal.
Yeah,
you remember that. And Dachshund ist auch Dackel. Called Dackels over there. You say Dackel over there. What?
I've not heard that.
Dackels? Oh yeah, Dackels. Yo, you come in Dackel.
I've not heard that.
Yes.
My German has suffered tremendously from not being used.
Sehr viel vergessen.
Yeah. I am excited that I will be going back very soon because I've always been teaching my entire adult life. I've never been going to I've never had the chance to go to Oktoberfest, so I'm going to Oktoberfest this year.
Gehen nach München.
Yeah.
Yeah, München.
Yeah.
I think they had to cancel it a couple times in recent years, not because of COVID, I think, but because of their immigrant problem.
Well, it's going on this year.
Good.
We're excited.
That's exciting. That'll be. I wasn't old enough to do stuff like that, but that'll be very cool. I would like to get back to, but geez, if the house is torn down, that would make me very sad. But I'd like to get back there one day. I don't care about other places. I mean, I'll see other places, but I just,
there are a lot of Americans in Heidelberg now. There's you can go to college for free over there, and a lot of Americans go to Heidelberg University to study. And there are many exchange programs back and forth. So a lot of my former students at Madison Central have gone on and studied in Heidelberg. So
I had a cousin who got a Fulbright and studied at the Heidelberg University or University of Heidelberg. And he also learned the language. He soaked it up too. And he was actually a chemical engineering major, but he liked teaching and was tutoring as he was paying his way through and supplementing whatever. And he liked it so much that he became a teacher at the University of Michigan. And then he got into computers, so he was like, really amazing.
He should be doing well then.
Well, he did very well. He was an early simulator.
Oh.
Yes. A lot of people don't know what that means, but yeah.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes. Anyway, if you'd like to call us up and join this conversation, please call us at 888-808-8637, or you can text us at 601-879-4395, or you can watch us, supertalk.fm/Mary. And then later on, you'll also be able to find us on YouTube. That's an interesting adventure. But they don't.
I did not realize that the shows were rebroadcast on YouTube.
Yes, but they don't carry them in the order that we do them. It's like kind of mishmash. Did you ever notice that, Lance?
The way I
you just put them
take
in
it
probably.
apart and put them back together without commercials. So however they play them,
they do them when I don't know. They just do them whenever. You might find something that's recent. You might find something from a couple years ago.
Well, I know Nellie's, because I like to go back and listen to, when I fill in for Nellie, and the listeners out there that may recognize my voice but not know who I am, I'm the Birdman that fills in for Nellie when she's out. And I love Nellie and love doing her show. But I like to go back and listen to the shows that I'm on for so that I can critique myself and work on ways to get better. My biggest problem is trying to use every second I can before that spot block. And I usually end up speaking over the tag at the end of that spot block. Lance hasn't fussed at me too much lately, but I've been expecting a slap on the hand or something of that sort.
He didn't give you the cut. He cut, shut, stop it.
I try to give the time.
But, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm real good at watching the time on the screen, but I forget that sometimes there's a tag there.
Okay.
And I need to know. Maybe I need a signal from you, Lance. We'll just do something in the air.
Jump in the air. Yeah, there you go.
Something to let me know that there's a tag at however many seconds. That's on me, though. That's not you.
Well, that's fun.
And Lance has enough jobs to do in the background, I tell you.
I just do the same thing for everybody. I hold up 10 seconds or 5 seconds. So, if you need something else, I'll be happy to do it.
Yeah. You know what? I've never seen you do that, and I'll tell you why. I'm usually watching that screen to see how much time I have left. So I need to start watching you.
Yeah, that would be a clue.
The screen's better, but you can do whatever you want, however you want to do it.
So we got to go talk about birds for a little bit here. What is the Mississippi Kite? And it ain't something you fly. It flies.
It flies. It's a beautiful little hawk. It's a member of the Accipitridae. The Accipitridae are hawks that fly very swiftly, and they've got very sharply designed wings, and they are typically bird-eating hawks. The Cooper's hawk and the sharp-shinned hawk are members of that group. If you've ever seen a hawk sweep through your yard and take a swipe at the birds at your feeders, that's the Cooper's hawk. But the Mississippi
Is that the Cooper's
kite,
hawk, the little brown and white little
Yes,
guy? I had one of those.
yes.
I think I had one at my house a couple of years ago. He stayed for a little while. I took a picture of him.
Yes.
He wasn't being bad or anything. He was just sitting there.
he was looking for some of your birds.
Oh.
But they have to eat too. That's the way I look at it. But the Mississippi kite is a gorgeous bird. It is absolutely stunning with its brilliant red eye. I absolutely love that bird, and it's got such clean lines and brilliant color to it with the gray and the steel blue. It just all fits together so wonderfully. But they are quite often seen over suburban areas flying high, and they circle around and eat high-flying insects. They'll take dragonflies that get really high and things of that sort. Now, I actually, and I may or may not have told Lance this. I told somebody this just recently. I'll tell you who it was. I was meeting Sunday night with representatives from America in Bloom, along with Mayor Mary Hawkins Butler and some other folks, dignitaries from Madison. I'm no dignitary, but I happen to be there for the dinner, and I saw a Mississippi kite last week. I was watching it from about 300 yards away.
Pretty close for one
way
of those,
over
right?
at the other end of my neighbor across the street's property line, and 100 yards of my place and 100 of his, and not 100 yards, mine's 100 feet. But I was watching this hawk, this Mississippi kite, and it took off from its perch and started flying right at me. And I thought, now what's going on? He's certainly not after me. And
He liked your shirt.
I didn't have anything special on. My shirt would have scared him. I like to wear brightly colored shirts. But this kite was taking off at high speed, and literally after like 15 seconds, a dragonfly came past me, and this guy, with his eyesight, had seen this dragonfly coming from hundreds of yards away, and he swooped at that. He missed it, but he swooped and gave it a good shot about 10 feet off the ground. It was amazing.
Now that music says that we're going to commercial break, so that's my cue. We'll be back with Ken Hackman. This is fun. I want to talk about birds that attack people, even for years later when there used to be a nest, and naming wild birds. Name wild birds, and they'll know that. Okay, we'll be back in just a few minutes. I'm Mary Wieden You. Oh, who's that?
B.B. King, My Bird Won't Sing.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh. I should recognize.
I need to write that down.
B.B. King. He could make Lucille sing, couldn't he? Did he retire Lucille? Did Lucille go with him, I
I
guess?
think Lucille was his baby.
Lucille is his guitar, folks, in case you don't know. Ken Hackman is here, the Birdman. I have to ask about certain birds that aren't very nice. Swallows, barn swallows, they are.
Well, and we could argue about that because they make a lot of mess.
Oh, yes.
They make a lot of mess.
I've been dive bombed.
That's because you were close to the nest. If you're gardening,
the nest was gone. The nest was gone by that time.
Well,
Long
in that
gone.
case, they may not have been dive bombing you. It may have been that while you were gardening, you were flushing out grasshoppers or flies or something like that the swallows were coming down to feed on.
I was standing on a boat dock just trying to water some flowers.
Well.
It was like, honestly, but I think they must
may have been eating your mosquitoes.
Oh, maybe that was it. Here, have some mosquitoes.
Absolutely.
But I don't see those around too much. Not too much. I have to ask you about naming wild birds. For instance, I have a cardinal that I call Pretty Bird. And it's not the same one because he'd be a very old bird if he was the same one. So I guess they pick up a name, but he'll fly sometimes real close to me. He'll just zoom, let me know he's there, and that chucking noise they make. He goes right by and I go, hey, Pretty Bird. And he'll either land near or he'll go next door, but he's a good cardinal. I like him.
Usually, if you've got a male cardinal flying by you like that, they're not as much prone to dive bombing.
No, he doesn't dive bomb at all.
There's probably a nest nearby somewhere, or he's on territory, whether the young have fledged or not. Fledging is leaving the nest, whether the young have fledged or not.
And it's the males who teach them. I remember that when we lived in Audubon Point, they would come to a fence, and Daddy Bird would be there teaching the babies what to do.
Well, both parents will do that. I think it's more that we're more aware of the males because the males are more conspicuous. A lot of birds have a female that is a duller color because she does most of the incubating. If you see a pair of birds and they're both exactly the same, the males and the females look alike, they usually both incubate the nest.
Oh.
But if you see bird species that the male is brightly colored and the female is drab, then the male sits over here and sings and attracts the predators away from the nest where the drab
boy.
female is camouflaged and hiding.
Who I call Mrs. Pretty Bird.
Yeah.
The females, I don't see so many of the females, but Pretty Bird, and he's just a sweet boy. Do you name birds that come in your yard?
No,
Don't do that.
I keep up a record of every bird that I see when in my yard, and I've seen over 100 species in my yard, 108.
Wow, you must have a pretty big yard.
I've got Mississippi kites. No, I'm on 1 acre. I'm on 1 acre, but I live in a really good spot. My next door neighbor has a multiple acre pond, so I can stand in my driveway and scan for all the ducks and the herons and the egrets and whatnot. And
Egrets, that's what I was trying to think of.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
And then I've got. I don't know if he still has access to the picture, but I sent Lance when I was on Saturday filling in for Nellie. I sent Lance a picture of my dead tree. Oh. My neighbor, I had a big, huge pine in the backyard, and a branch broke off during a storm and crushed my neighbor's fence. It's still crushed, by the way. This has been years ago. And I knew that we needed to take the tree down, but rather than take the whole thing down, I topped it at about 30 feet. And we cut all the branches off of it, and now it's a 30-foot tall trunk sitting in my backyard. And
that's attractive.
Well,
it's
in my backyard.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about curb
yeah.
appeal. That 30-foot tall trunk now has red-headed woodpeckers nesting in it. I've got eastern bluebirds nesting in it, and I suspect that next year I'll have the brown-headed nuthatches, which are in our area from all the pine trees.
Are they little?
Oh, yes.
The ones I think are finches. But they're
little
birds.
tiny guys with a brown head, and they sound like a dog's squeaky toy or a little child's squeaky toy. They are the most wonderful little birds. If you see one flying, it looks like it has no tail. Little tiny bird flying with no tail. They do have a tail, but it's very, very short. Yes.
Yeah. We do have finches, don't we? I don't even know.
Yes.
Are they yellow or whatever?
well,
I don't even know what color they are.
So the most common finch here in the wintertime is probably the house finch or the American goldfinch. And everybody loves goldfinches. Not too many people are excited about house finches. The American goldfinch actually breeds here in the tri-state area. I've seen them in Madison County. I've not seen – well, I take it back. I've seen them in Hinds County. If you can find a place where somebody's growing sunflowers or has a really big flower meadow with a lot of seeds in it, those finches eat seeds. So they'll get those seeds and they'll hang out around those seeds during the summertime and breed in that area. And so they're starting to breed a little bit further south. But, of course, as the weather has been changing lately, we'll have to see whether that southern movement is going to continue or not.
How are regular birds, whether it's robins or cardinals, finches, whatever, how are they doing in this god-awful heat? Are they? What do they
have
need
a
from us?
method. They have a method for staying cool. And what they'll do is they'll get into the shade, of course, if they can. If their feeding behavior doesn't allow them to get in the shade, of course, they have to stay out in the open to look for food. But they have a process they call venting. And you will see them with their feathers fluffed up to allow air to escape in between the feathers. But the most exciting part of that is you'll see them with their mouth hanging open. They let air out. They don't have sweat glands, so they let the air out of their mouth. And the reason it's called venting is they'll also open up their cloaca. Now, the cloaca is the where we would think about our backside being our anal opening, and the cloaca serves as an opening for everything, reproduction, urine, and feces. And they'll pooch it out, kind of like
kind of like prolapsed.
And yes, and they'll let air out that way. So they actually release heat. There's a lot of blood vessels in that area, just like there are in the human body. And by pooching it out like that, all those blood vessels help to cool off, because it's all of us that are warm-blooded birds and mammals. it's our blood vessels are our thermoregulatory process. So we're staying cool. That's why elephants have such big ears to stay cool.
Built-in fans.
Absolutely.
Those are. Well, I have seen birds, and I don't know which ones I've seen, but I've noticed over the years some small birds with their mouths open. I think they must be thirsty is what I thought. They must be thirsty. Do they need a lot of water? Do they need water help from us?
Actually, they need a lot of water, and they've got to have water or dirt every day to keep their wings in proper flight capability.
Dirt?
Well, dust baths. Birds that don't take a water bath can take a dust bath, and that helps with a number of things, including mites and lice and things of that sort.
Sort of like what we do.
Yes. Yeah, there's another really fascinating characteristic that birds have, a process, I guess, not characteristic. They will find fire ants or other ant species and pick one up with their beak, and they'll rub the ant all over their feathers. Ew. Well, ants produce a substance called formic acid, and that formic acid is a natural insecticide, and they use that to keep now mites aren't insects, they're arachnids, but they'll use that to keep mites and lice off of their body. It's called anting. The processes the birds do, venting, anting, it's very simply named, but dust bathing, water bathing, everything's real simple when we talk about birds, except for getting into the scientific aspect of things. Is a little more difficult.
Well, birds have got their own. They're very societal, aren't they? Particularly crows.
Some are.
Particularly crows, right? Is it you who said a crow will find out who's friendly?
Yes.
In a neighborhood. Now I don't know how they know that unless you look up and say, "Hey, come out of my yard." I mean, I don't know how they know that, but how do they know that?
They're brilliant birds. They are more intelligent. Now, everybody talks about how brilliant the psittaciformes are, the parrots and the macaws and whatnot. They're just mimics. They're smart. Okay?
But they don't know what they're saying, really.
But they're not as intelligent as the corvids, the crows. Jays are members of that same group.
But aren't crows real particular about?
They can be particular. They can be very friendly.
In their society.
Yes.
How many people make up, what do they have, like not a small flock, or what do you call it?
It's called a murder of crows.
Yes.
I love there's a meme out there on the internet where you see two crows sitting on a pipe, and the underneath the picture it says attempted murder, because only two doesn't make a murder. You've got to get more than that. A group of crows is called a murder.
How many could there be in a murder? How many? Like 30, 10, 100, or?
I've seen crows in flocks up to about 20 or 30 here in Mississippi, or murders, I should say, about 20 or 30 here in Mississippi. But I'm sure that across the country they can gather in larger numbers. I don't know what the record is, but they keep records of things like that when birders see the most of something
That's
together.
Well, I was told one time I think I said this on the show with you, that I went into a pet shop one time up in Michigan, and this solid black bird said, "Hello." And I looked at it. I said, "That's not a minor bird. What is that?" And the guy said, "It's a good old Michigan crow. If you get one when they're babies, you can teach them to talk." Well, I would presume Mississippi crows are like that. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done that?
I haven't taught one to talk, but here's the deal.
Give you, now you're retired. You can do it.
It's illegal.
What? Why?
You're not allowed to keep them as pets. The laws have been passed to protect them. It is illegal, but you can get federal permits for educational purposes. That's the thing you can do, or rehab permits. So there are some things. There are ways to have certain types of pet birds.
But crows are definitely talkers.
Oh, yes.
But they have to be young when you teach them, or when they are taught?
I haven't read a whole lot about keeping crows as pets, because and we talked about this before the show, I'm a little bit on the side against keeping birds as pets.
You don't want anything smarter than you as a pet, right?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lance.
I'll be here for the weekend.
I want to turn around and give you a raspberry.
But anyway, so the exotic birds, though, I mean, that's okay, because
I'm
okay
dead set against that. as we talked about before the show, the number two thing coming across the border, number one is drugs. The number two thing being smuggled across the border is birds. If you're smuggling drugs, people are shooting at you with AK-47s or AR-15s or whatever. You've got the Border Patrol just down on your back and everything like that. If you're smuggling birds, they literally give you a slap on the hand and send you back. So it can be pretty lucrative. Parrots and macaws, a single macaw is worth $40,000, depending on the species.
Wow.
And, if you can get several of these across the border, you can make some good money. Some of the smaller birds, beautiful birds like painted buntings and things of that sort, are smuggled across. And they have caught people smuggling birds across the border. They'll use a suitcase and those little toilet paper tubes. They'll stick a bird in each end of the toilet paper tube, or they'll stick multiple birds in a paper towel tube. That way the wings are closed down, or they can't move or anything like that. And they will stack a couple hundred birds in a suitcase and try to get it across the border.
Wow.
And
break music is the coolest. Listen to this. This is the coolest music for a talk show host. You ready? Now, Lance, if you know anybody who has a parakeet or two, don't take Hawk over there because
No, he would eat it.
Well, this is what happened to Heidi, our original Heidi, the German Shorthair. I had taken her over to a friend's house, and they had a bird and a dog and didn't pay attention. So anyway, the girl went out to get us to the kitchen to get us something to drink, and she started saying, Heidi, no. I thought, what in the world's going on? So I went out to the kitchen. Here's my Heidi standing there. She had this bird in her mouth. I was just with her mouth open with the bird, which died of fright in her mouth because she never bite anything. She didn't bite raw eggs. She didn't bite it. She probably went through the whole, pointed and all this kind of stuff all by herself and got the little bird. And she didn't mean to kill it or anything, And I had to scold her. I scolded her in English, and she wouldn't understand what that meant. Thank God. But she did the right thing. She did the right thing. I mean, I had to, tell her, on the way home, gute Hund and all this kind of stuff. That is okay. Alles is okay. That's a gute Hund.
Alles gut.
Yeah, gute Hund. And I forget if a female is a Hundchen, but anyway, she's gute Hund.
Probably Hundchen would be correct.
Yeah, a good girl for doing that. That was slightly embarrassing. But we were talking about smuggling birds
Yes.
from South and Central America. Who buys these birds?
There are breeders. When a bird is as beautiful as a Gouldian finch, or
Yeah, you showed that.
Oh, that's a gorgeous
gosh.
bird. When a bird is as beautiful as a painted bunting or a Gouldian finch, or as exotic as the scarlet macaw, just about disappeared because of the pet bird trade. There's so many gorgeous birds, especially in our rainforests. There are brightly colored birds, the chlorophonias and the euphonias. I know that sounds like a tuba, and
what's
it's
he
the
talking
same.
about?
Beautiful, gorgeous rainforest birds in Central and South America, and then even more in Australia. Do you know that, and they're doing fine, I will have to say that. I've seen flocks of 30 and 40,000 of them. The bird that we call the parakeet that is sold in the pet stores, it is now illegal to import them, and Australia will not allow them to be exported anymore. And they, being an island nation, they have pretty much controlled that now, and they've sort of put a stop to the Gouldian finch decline. But the Gouldian finch declined so much that they're worried about whether it can come back.
Wow. But parakeets, if you want a parakeet.
No, the parakeets are budgerigars is the actual name. What we see in the pet stores are actually called budgerigars, and some people call them budgies.
Okay.
I've got a story there, but I don't know whether to go into it on your radio show or not.
Yeah, whatever.
In Australia, they don't wear the big trunks like we do in the United States when they go swimming.
Speedos.
Yes, in Australia and some of the other countries, Speedos are very much in vogue, in fashion. And in Aussie, they've got a slang term for Speedos. They call them budgie smugglers.
Oh, gotcha.
But the budgerigar, they're found all over Australia, and I've seen flocks of 30 or 40,000 of them out in the outback. Wow. It's a magnificent bird. Of course, they're cavity nesters, and finding cavities in the outback is becoming a little bit more problematic.
There was a wonderful show that NBC had last year, The Americas. I don't know if you had to see it. And they had
BBC.
It was on,
no.
This was the one that was on NBC.
Yeah, right.
And
I'm
it was narrated by Tom Hanks, who did a great job of narrating it. But I remember there were some birds that live in caves, little tree caves. Then there was this fascinating thing. It's not a bird, though, but butterflies. And I think they were monarch butterflies. They go to some certain place.
Monterey.
And they cluster in these, they look like huge, I don't know, nests, but they just... thousands of them in these things.
Millions. You can't even see the trees for all the monarchs
for all this
on
stuff.
them. Yes.
And then all of a sudden, they break away. When the weather gets good, they just break away.
And migrate back up here.
Those monarchs, can they travel from there to here?
Yes. In fact, they are the same butterflies. And it's really interesting how that happens because monarchs live for a couple of weeks and then they die. And they go through these cycles of being caterpillars, then going into the pupal stage and emerging as adult amigos or adults, and they live long enough to reproduce, lay their eggs, and then they die. And this happens all summer long, and they die, and they die, and they die. And for some reason, right when the photo period gets to be the right time, that last brood of monarchs, rather than dying, they all fly to Monterey and they all go down there and just cover the trees.
Yes.
And it's an amazing sight.
That was a beautiful series.
Yes.
That whole series, The Americas. Because I remember there was somewhere, I think, on the Chesapeake Bay, some kind of hawks or eagles. Anyway, there was the story was about a bald eagle who he couldn't get down there fast enough to grab the fish or whatever with his feet, but he finally did it. But some other hawk or
osprey.
Eagle. Is that what it was?
Probably osprey.
Faster than the bald eagle. I mean,
yes.
Geez, that is so cool. And it took these people like 8 years to do a lot of this photography. It was fabulous. Yeah, I miss that.
I get my camera out, and I do a lot of photography myself, and it is difficult to get that shot.
Oh, yes. The money shot.
Well,
it's called the money shot.
The money shot, indeed. I've only sold about 35 of my photos, but I've got friends that I have shot with that are just amazing. I don't know if we're allowed to plug. I don't even know that he sells his stuff. There's a wonderful photographer in the Madison area called named Michelle Turner. And if you follow the Mississippi Bird Photography Facebook page, oh my heavens, the images that he gets. There's a lot of Facebook groups for people to keep up with birds in Mississippi. You just search up there in the top of the Facebook search page for Mississippi Bird Photography or Mississippi Birds, and there's the photography that's on there is phenomenal.
There's a woman who does what was the white bird I said? I was trying to think
egret.
Egret. Yeah, she shot egrets, and she's had displays around town. I can't think of her name though. She's been on the show, but she's got these fascinating shots around where the thing opens up at the reservoir, with the
spillway.
The actual spillway. The gates around the gates,
yes.
In the gates, and they'll gather around there. But it's the way she does it. It looks as if you're looking at something from the 1920s. It's like you're looking at a building. It's like anyway. She's an egret specialist, and she's a retired state employee, and she made this business of her own. And she goes, I think, to the northwestern part of the reservoir, not necessarily near the reservoir.
Probably along the Pipeline Road area.
Maybe.
I go up to Pipeline Road, and there are usually lots and lots of egrets there, lots of great blue herons, little blue herons, so many different birds up in the Pipeline Road area.
Yeah, they're fascinating. And there's usually a nesting area right above the spillway. Because we used to see it, we would do that when I was in the helicopter. Days when we didn't have a lot of stuff to do. Well, we were supposed to, do things, look for things too, Right. And so that was one of our favorite things to look for, the egrets.
Egrets and herons nest in colonies. They're colonial nesters. And they have to have others around them in order to successfully reproduce. The same thing was true. I don't know if you're familiar with the passenger pigeon. The last one died in 1913. At one time, 1/4 of all of the birds on the entire planet were passenger pigeons. And hunting clubs all up and down the Atlantic used to have competitions to see if they could shoot which hunting club could shoot the most passenger pigeons. There are stories of flocks being estimated at 6 billion birds, one single flock, and that a single flock could be miles and miles long and like a quarter of a mile wide and hundreds of yards deep as they flew by, and it would take them hours to fly by. And they were the most numerous bird on the planet during the early 1800s. And these shooting clubs just wiped them out. And they were colonial nesters, and once the numbers got down smaller, they could no longer reproduce, and they passed away.
Well, one of my favorite ways to tell a change of seasons is by the white, you know what I'm going to say? The white pelicans that come to the reservoir. And they come from up north and out west. I know that. And so in the fall, when they appear, then you know it's getting on toward winter, so it's the fall.
Yes.
And they go to the reservoir. They go to certain places, mostly in Pelahatchie Bay, but there are other places. And they're such welcome guests. They're quiet. They fly so beautifully. They don't mess in your yards. They don't do anything like that. They're just sweet birds, I think. And then you know that the fall, that the summer's coming on. Let's see now. You have to know. Yeah, how is it I do this? Anyway, they go away. When they go away, you know.
Yep, spring is coming.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and some of them have to go down to the coast. It gets, in the wintertime, it gets so hot. So cold up here. I'm going to get my words
They have
mixed up.
actually, I've got a friend that lives out at Lake Caroline, and he told me there's a pelican out here. And they have actually started staying at Lake Caroline year-round.
Well, that's nice. You know, and they fly as a community. They live as a community, and they look after each other. If somebody's sick, you know, another pelican will take care of it. Have you ever noticed? I've noticed that.
Oh,
and I think that's really very sweet. I like them. I really just think they're. And when I heard about it, I'm like, what? White pelican? And, you know, the pelicans that you see down on the Gulf Coast, or the brown ones, you know, they're just they're just singletons. They don't.
No, they're solitary, and they're the only pelicans that dive for food.
Yeah,
brown
hold
pelicans.
up a French fry and
No, diving into the water from 40 or 50 feet up.
Why go to the water? Just go to the beach. Somebody hey.
Those are the gulls.
Well, I've seen those pelicans do that.
Oh, I haven't done that.
Oh, yes. Try that one. But the white ones don't do that. And they swim together. They fish together.
It's called cooperative feeding.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
I like them a lot. We got to go now.
Oh, no, it's been such fun.
I know. We can't steal an hour from Gerard. He wouldn't like that. So, Ken Hackman, thanks an awful lot for being here. This has been fun. Enjoyed it a whole lot. And see you all on Friday, everybody. Oh, by the way, stay cool. God-awful heat this week.
Yes.
Okay? All right. See you then.
What you talking about?